is really interesting. I see a guy here with a Volvo EX90. So this is the new Volvo electric car. I actually drove this a little while back, maybe a couple of months ago. And it's funny because the reviews weren't too friendly to the Volvo EX90. They said it had some problems that needed to be fixed and addressed. It's a nice car. It's a very nice car. Heated, ventilated, massage seats, very nice car. As far as I know, it doesn't have rear headrest monitors for the kids and stuff. But I enjoyed driving it. It was pretty cool. But they have some problems that they really got to work out before I think the reviewers give it the green light. So they got to have to deal with that. But it was interesting when the guy came up behind me in the rearview mirror. I saw him immediately. And I was like, oh, that must be that Volvo EX90, because I haven't seen many people on the road with it. But here in New York, you pretty much see everything because these people are doing these long commutes. But yeah, electric vehicles are selling. Like there was a story I just put in my community chat, like a Tesla was on its first battery and it didn't need a battery change, and it went over 500,000 miles. Because electric vehicles swallow mileage a lot differently than gas vehicles do. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I just posted in my chat, you're never getting 500,000 miles out of a gas car. And if you tried, you're going to have to replace that engine and that transmission. But the Tesla that they were talking about had its original battery. And I don't know about the motors, but it had its original battery. But as time goes on, motor replacement and battery replacement are getting cheaper anyway. So, as time goes on, electric vehicles move out of their infancy. And as they move out of their infancy, they're getting less expensive. That's how they have to be. It's just like I keep saying, Rivian and Fisker, they really, really have to work on price. What they have to do is they have to do exactly what Tesla did. And they need to build these cars as cheaply as possible, but they have to, it's a goddamn garbage truck. God damn it. I gotta turn around. I don't know if I can wait for this bolt. No, you know what? Fuck it. I'll just keep going. It's no big deal. I ain't in a rush. But yeah, Tesla. Oh, look at this guy. That's that fake cat. That is not a Hellcat. That's a... Wait. Okay, well, nope. Oh, that guy is... Yeah. So yeah, this guy got right here. He got the Hellcat and the... very nice. He's a Sikh. He has the Sikh symbol up there. Yeah, so, so I'm going to roll up my window because it's like, I don't want the smell of that garbage truck getting in here. Hey, look, it's Akeisha working sanitation. Here in New York, believe it or not, sanitation pays a lot of money. If you work a sanitation job, and you work that, you do your overtime and stuff, sanitation's easily a 6-figure job, easily. And it also, because your civil service, has a pension, health care, and just like the MTA, it's a pretty decent job. I really should turn around, but you know what? Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna turn around. No, you know what? Well, they are moving. All right, you know what? Forget it. I'm not gonna turn around. It's not that I'm in a rush. It's just that I hate being behind garbage trucks and school buses. See, now they've weaponized the school buses against us because now all the school buses have freaking, the school buses have body cams now. So basically, if you go past the school bus, they send you a fucking ticket in the mail for $250. So they've literally weaponized the goddamn school buses against us. And I'm looking at the design of this house. They have a brick front facade, but they didn't do the rest of the house in brick. It's like, if it was me, I would have done the whole house in brick. Now, I don't know how that looks like to you, but then when you look at that next house right there, that next house is an all brick facade. And in my opinion, I think that just looks more expensive. It looks better in my opinion. So, again, this is Queens real estate. Like if you're in Queens, this is what you can expect. This house right here, I guarantee you this house costs no less than about $800,000. First of all, I'm looking at it. It looks like it's been designed for two-family. Who the fuck is blowing at me? Who the fuck is blowing? I hope you're not blowing at me. But anyway, that house right there is about, it's this guy. Look at this guy. Oh, my fault. Sorry, yeah, bye. Yeah, listen, I'm not paying attention. But anyway, all the houses in Queens were designed just like those two houses right there. You see these two houses? So what people are doing, the developers buy these houses, they knock the roof off, and then they build it up and dormer it like that. I like the job that they did on that house right there. I like that. Now, these little houses, I'm okay with those too, but obviously you're not having a big family if you're in one of those little houses. So these are, see, here's the thing. Queens, most of this area was originally zoned for single family houses, just like this, right? Just like these two. So the problem that we're having is that our real estate is sky high. So these single family houses, these things are $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. Now I know if you live in Georgia or if you live in one of those other parts like Texas or something, you look at this and be like, oh wow, I'd never pay $500,000 for that. Look at my house. I have a mansion in Dallas, and I have a mansion in Fort Laredo, and I've got a huge swimming pool, and my swimming pool's bigger than the house. Yeah, I understand that, but you got to understand this is Queens. Not only that, from right here, you could walk out of your house, you could walk down the block, and you can get on mass transit, and you could be into Manhattan in less than like 30 minutes, and that's what people are willing to pay for. You could say whatever you want, but there's people all over the world trying to move here. Now, I am blessed. I was born in Queens, New York. When I was born here, these piece of shit houses, all of them, these houses were like $80,000, $100,000. Now, these, like, do you see this two-family right here? You're not touching that for anything less than $1 million. $1 million. Ask Ethel right here or Big Shirley. Big Shirley will tell you. Her house is worth $1 million. Here's the problem, though. We can't sell our property. Because if we sold our property, now we'd have to find a new place to live. And guess what? It's so expensive to move someplace else because of these high interest rates that some of these people have paid off their houses because these houses were cheap when they got them or they inherited them from their family, their parents. We are stuck with this. See, this is a lot right here. That lot right there, I guarantee you that lot will cost you no less than $400,000. Guarantee. I can look it up on Zillow, but I've already looked up most of the real estate in this area, so I pretty much already know. But what I'm saying is, these houses used to be all single-family houses, but now that we have the influx of the immigrant populations have pumped the prices of these places up to the millions. And these people, the demand is so high. So basically, New York City, Miami, it's places like that. The values on these places are sky high. They're astronomical. And I have to say, one thing that the city did that I kind of didn't like at first, but now I can appreciate it, is the city made all of these streets in this area right here of Ozone Park. They made all of these streets one-way streets. So the beauty is now you don't have to worry about two-way traffic and car accidents, because a lot of people come through these streets speeding, and a lot of times they be getting into accidents and shit. So it's nice. You don't want to get your car trapped in a one-way street when you got property right in front of where they're doing work. So that could be a look at this. This is the average. You see what they did? This could have been one house right here, and it was one house. And then they split this shit, and they made it a two-family house. And that is what ultimately is destroying the character of Queens, and it's causing overpopulation. And each one of these, look at this guy. He's got all these solar panels. Each one of these properties is no less than $700,000. And I know you don't believe it, but I guarantee you, if you go on Zillow and you look up property in this area, the zip code is 11435, 11436, 11437. If you look up the properties in this area on Zillow, I guarantee you're not finding anything indecent. Look at this. See, this is how you know you got gentrification going on. You got white women just walking up and down the block, and everybody's safe and everything. And then they got their jogging pants, and they jogging and everything, and they're not worried. This guy got the lyric right there. Good for him. So anyway, black Cadillac lyric. But what I'm saying is they're destroying the goddamn character by overpopulating Queens. They're destroying the character of this area. See, I had an uncle. He lives down one of these blocks, and he had a house just like this, and then he died. So, the most important thing is that your family consumes the property and that they can keep it running and whatever. And even if you got to rent it out, you're better off Airbnb in the property. Let me let this goddamn Infinity. I hate Infinities and Acuras. Yeah, I'm going to let you go because I don't want you behind me. You see this? I don't like this guy. So anyway, look at this. They're destroying the character of these neighborhoods. They're absolutely destroying them. But, and this is what they're doing. They buy a single-family house, and then boom, you got Mamdani voters right here. Got Mamdani's our next neighbor, and they are voting for Mamdani. Everybody vote for Mamdani. You got to vote for Mamdani. You don't have a choice. But destroying the character of these neighborhoods. Overpopulation is just overpopulation. What's that? It's like, yeah, there's overpopulating this whole goddamn place and making it so that living here is like it's just a nightmare. It's just absolutely a nightmare. Just destroying the character. These, I had a couple of relatives live right here in this neighborhood, this part of the neighborhood. And man, let me tell you something. You got to get up out of here, boy. Because now this is one of my favorite 99-cent stores. And now Western Beef took over. This used to be a Junior's. Western Beef took that over. And they said, you know what? We're not going to have this store be fucking EBT Junior's no more. We're going to make this a full-blown Western Beef. So they took it over. But it's kind of small. Most Western Beefs are a little bit bigger than that. But, yeah, they destroyed this goddamn place. Look at this. They just tore this place up. I remember this place used to be beautiful. And now the population is higher. It's bumper-to-bumper parking. You can't find a park. So what ends up happening, like some people are, why don't you just sell your Jeep? Yeah, well, one of the problems with my Jeep is I like to keep my Jeep because with my Jeep, I can actually keep people from trying to park in front of my house. Because it doesn't matter where you are. If you're in New York or if you're in Long Island, now parking is starting to be an issue. It's starting to be a problem because you got, look at this, bumper to bumper. You can't, could you find a park on this shit? And if you do find a park, I guarantee it's a fire hydrant. And if it's not a fire hydrant, it's somebody's driveway. And if you park in front of people's driveway, they want to act like they're fighting and shit, like they come out ready to fight you and everything, And it's really sad. It just hurts the character of the neighborhood. See, I'm lucky. See, I have an AR-15, so I keep that thing loaded next to my door just in case anything goes wrong, just in case anything happens. It's war instantaneously. But my bottom line is don't park in front of my house. That's my bottom line. So I stand next to my window like I'm Malcolm X, like holding my rifle and shit. But, yeah, they just absolutely destroying the character of this place. Just destroying it. It's just sad. It's just so sad. Look at this. You can't even find parking around here. If you have a driveway and you have a house and you live near the train station or you live next to the bus stop, people will pay you good money. She's a Mamdani supporter. People will pay you good money to park their car in your yard because it's hard to find a park. So there are people who will literally pay you maybe $100 a month. Like, you could be fair. You could say, listen, I'll let you park your car. And God forbid, if you really live in an area that is like high value, man, you could go to one of these places. You could say, hey, listen, guy, I have a house next door to your business. Look at these fucking speed cameras, goddamn speed cameras. See this school? This school is named PS45. I used to go to this school, PS45. And I'll be perfectly honest, I got kicked out of this school because I was a bad kid. It's Clarence Witherspoon. So I got kicked out of this school because I was always getting in trouble. And by the way, I went to this school too, United Methodist Church School. I can't remember which one I went to first, but I was like a bad kid and I was always getting in trouble. And there was a simple reason for it, because I was able to read and write on a level so well that what ended up happening was the other kids couldn't keep up and I could. So when I would finish my work, I would start talking and bothering the other kids. So that school right there, the teacher took me to the principal's office and the teacher was like, oh, he's a good kid. It's just that after he does his work and he finishes early and everything's right, what happens is he starts to bother the other kids and he starts to talk to them and he makes it so they can't do their work. And then the principal Of course, my parents in there. So the principal asked me, well, why do you think that is? Why do you think you finish your work so quick and then you talk to the other kids? And believe it or not, and my mom always reminds me of this shit. You know what she said? Shut the fuck up, Watch. So anyway, my mom always reminds me. So the principal says, oh, well, why do you think that is? Why is it that when you finish your work, you bother the other kids and you talk to the other kids? And believe it or not, you know what I said? And I don't even remember this, but my mom keeps reminding me I said this right before I got kicked out of school. I told the principal and I told the teacher, believe this or not, his shitty BMWs with that shit fucking engine and your goddamn horrible driving skills. So anyway, you know what I told the principal? I told the teacher. The principal said, you know what? You're such a good kid. Why is it that you can't just do your work and then be quiet? And believe it or not, you know what I said? I told the principal and I told the teacher. I said, you know what? If you taught the other kids to read as well as I could, then we wouldn't have a problem because they'd finish their work as fast as I did. I swear to God, that's what happened. And yes, that happened a couple of times because believe it or not, like I was when I was in 4th grade, you know how you got to take that 4th grade science test? I was so far ahead in science specifically. I was so far ahead that when the teacher was setting the test up, she didn't understand how to set up the electric circuits for the test. And I had to tell the teacher, excuse me, you have to have a complete circuit and you have to set it up this way. So sure enough, I took that test. I got a perfect score on it. And science has always been my thing. That's the reason why today I hold degrees in geology and I hold degrees in physics and aviation, pilot's license and stuff. And I tell you, if Apple makes those recording eyeglasses better than Ray-Ban does, I'm going to start making more videos where I fly planes, just like the video that I have on my main page. Because I go flying a lot, but I do not record it because obviously you can't have a hand on the fucking phone. You can't be driving around recording that shit or flying around recording it. Yeah, I'm going to let this stupid ass Tesla go by. But, yeah, that's what happened. I got kicked out of school a couple of times, man. I got expelled because they couldn't control me. They could not control my ass. They could not control me. Believe it or not. I mean, I'm sure that my, what is it called? My personality doesn't project the belief that, the teachers would have had a problem with me. But believe me, yeah, they did. But what was it? When I was in grad school, I was a straight A student. I could show my, what is it called? My, what's that thing called? Transcript to prove it. I had 4.0 on my first master's, which by the way, I got a scholarship for. And then I had a 3.9 on my second master's. And, I was just blowing it away. And the only reason I had a 3.9 is because I got like 1 A minus. I had straight fucking A's. Except 1 A minus. And I'll never forget that A minus. I'll never forget that. That A minus was like a slap in the face. It was like, yeah, you know what? You should have done better on this test, asshole. And it's like, you get a slap in the face. Nobody's perfect. But I graduated basically top of my class. I was the first person on that freaking stage. They didn't do the valedictorian, salutatorian thing at the time. Because I guess it was grad school, so they felt they didn't have to do it. But bottom, look at this. Look at them destroying the freaking. Look at this. These are single-family homes. You build this horrible monstrosity. Look at that thing. Just monstrosity. But yeah, that's just what it is. Yeah, I got kicked out of school a couple of times. Nobody knows that about me except for people who actually know me, because I was getting in trouble all the time. I was doing bad shit all the time. It was like even when I was in high school, there was a kid who was messing with me. He was trying to bully me or whatever, and he was saying some shit. I lit a fucking match and I tossed that shit out and burned a hole in his shirt. There's a lot of shit that I have so many secrets. I'm going to die with them. And I'm not telling nobody, and anybody who knows those secrets about me, they're going to die first. So basically I consider that a wash. But, Yeah, that's just what it is. It's like you don't need to know jack. But that school, man, I got in trouble all the time. Like, I was always in trouble. I was always doing some shit. Just driving around, just randomly looking at this place. It's like these people are destroying this fucking area. It's the developers. The city doesn't care because the city knows that the more people that they get, the more taxes get paid. The city doesn't give a fuck. They'll stuff this place, and then all of them, they don't even live here. They live in like Westchester County. They live out in Long Island. They don't even live in the city. They don't care. They'll stuff this place. They'll stuff this place with cheap workers and flood this place, and they don't care. And that's the reason why when you see Donald Trump, using like the brown shirt Gestapo tactics and pulling people up out of here, that's the reason why you don't see the pushback, and you don't see it from certain people. Like you'll have black men get up and like, oh no, we need this in the neighborhood. The crime is out of control. And that is the reason why Trump has the support that he has. Because he's doing something that, first of all, is not illegal, because basically the government makes the laws. But the bottom line is he's doing something that nobody would dare to do because it would be politically suicide to do those things. And that's the reason why he gets the support he gets. And I know there's a lot of people on my channel who, anytime I praise Trump, they don't like it. And anytime I criticize Trump, they don't like it. But I have a secret for you. I don't give a fuck. I will say whatever comes to mind. Just like I told that teacher. If you taught these dumb motherfuckers in this classroom to read as well as I could, and to read as much as I could, maybe we wouldn't have a problem. Maybe if you taught these kids to study, and if you taught them not to be stupid, and they weren't sitting around on TikTok while China's using spy apps on us, and my government wasn't corrupt, maybe we wouldn't have a problem. That's the way I feel about it. So yeah, I got in trouble a lot. And I'm not afraid to admit it. I don't care. I got in trouble a lot. So yeah, as you can see, they've destroyed the character of my city. And basically, this place is about to be under the control of Zoran, whatever the hell his name is, Mamdani. And right now, the Democrats are turning on Mamdani. And they're turning on him because they went against Eric Adams. They tried to install Cuomo. We told Cuomo, we do not want you. Oh, my God, look at that. I didn't even know they built them places over there. Holy shit. Look at the population's going to, like, skyrocket in this place. God damn, I'm glad I got up out of here. Jesus. But what was I saying? Yeah, they turned on Eric Adams, and now they're probably shaking their heads like, oh my God, what have we done? We're going to let that communist Mamdani, we're going to let him in. And now there's a guy in Minneapolis, Minnesota, a Muslim guy who looks just like the dude on Captain Phillips. And this guy is running, and he's like, look at me, Irish. I'm the mayor now. And they're trying to get rid of him too. It's just ridiculous. It's like you turned on you set these people up to run, and now you're turning on them. But look who's in control of the Democrat Party. You got these old whites, like, what's her name? Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. And now they're scared because they wanted to install Cuomo, but we said, nah, fuck that. We don't want you. And I'm not the one voting for this. This is New York voting for this. New York City voting for that. I'm not the one voting for this. I support Eric Adams personally because he's a conservative black male. In fact, he probably is a passport bro. He's probably going to end up being a passport bro. The rest of these people, like I showed you, these people support Mamdani, but I don't. But I mean, listen, if he gets in, he gets in. But it has to be the democratic process that puts him in. These Democrats are trying to play games, and they've exposed themselves to be hypocrites. They've exposed themselves to be racists, and they've also exposed themselves to be a number of other things. And the bottom line is now it's backfiring on them because now they look like shit when they're trying to go against the very people that they set up. I just think that's so interesting. Yeah, these houses are horrible looking. They look horrible, but all of them cost like $700,000. So how can you argue? Can't even argue. If you're looking for any real estate, do not come here. Just don't do it.
That takes, that could take a while for you to even get to that point. I do think there could be some innovation in that, but interesting. Let's go to the phone lines. First, let's take this. I want Daryl to play this clip about people getting, Trump saying he'll give people 1 year in jail for burning the flag.
If you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail, no early exits, no nothing. You get 1 year in jail. If you burn a flag, and what it does is incite to riot. I hope they use that language, by the way. Did they?
Yeah,
incite to riot. And you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail. You don't get 10 years, you don't get 1 month. You get 1 year in jail, and it goes on your record. And you will see flag burning stopping immediately, just like when I signed the Statute and Monument Act. 10 years in jail if you hurt any of our beautiful monuments. Everybody left town. They were gone.
Oh, wow. We got a clip. Do we have that clip, Sam, of Justice Scalia?
Yeah, we have it. Yeah, I have it.
Go ahead and play it.
If I were king, I would not allow people to go about burning the American flag. However, we have a First Amendment which says that the right of free speech shall not be abridged, and it is addressed in particular to speech critical of the government. I mean, that was the main kind of speech that tyrants would seek to suppress. Burning the flag is a form of expression. Speech doesn't just mean written words or oral words. It could be semaphore. Burning a flag is a symbol that expresses an idea. I hate the government is unjust, whatever.
That was Justice Scalia talking about burning the flag as well. Let's see what the people got to say. Let's go to Edward in New York. Edward, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you. What you thinking?
Okay, good morning. Yeah, I had called in and wanted to bring up this issue. As soon as I had heard about it, of course I knew right away what people were going to immediately say. Obviously, if you understand civics, is that you have a First Amendment right to do it. But then I thought immediately, and I really thought about how Trump does things, and I don't really understand if people understand how this guy thinks. What he's ultimately doing, I think one of you just said it a little while ago, is he uses the law like a sledgehammer rather than a scalpel. And the thing about it is, if I wanted to ban flag burning, the EPA has laws against burning anything in public. And here in New York, for example, they are literally taking away our ability to have gas lines in our properties. Like, I'm in a property right now. I own a house, has no gas line, everything's electric, right? They're literally slowly taking away our ability to burn things at all. No gas stoves, no pizza ovens. Governor Hochul made it so we can't even have gas lines going to apartment buildings. So basically they're saying, yeah, you can only have electricity. If he really knew as much about the law as he pretends to know, he could do it under a different way, and it wouldn't have anything to do with the Constitution. He could say, no, you're releasing particulate matter into the atmosphere, and it's hurting the children who have asthma or whatever. And to protect the public good, you could actually get it done that way. And the other thing he did was he quietly said that National Guard troops can carry firearms because, as you know, the troops are not allowed to arrest the people. They're not allowed to police the people. But they're not supposed to be bringing firearms. But under the guise of protecting them and them allowing to protect themselves, yeah, he could do that. So the thing about it, what people need to understand is this guy is basically using the law against itself. The more you know about the law, the easier it is to undermine it. And I just don't think a lot of people just recognize that. And he'll have these sycophants all over Instagram and all over Facebook. Oh, thank you, President Trump. This is red meat to his base. But as much as you'd like to think that he can't do it, under the laws that already exist, yeah, he really could. And people think that.
Oh
what
yeah,
he's
no,
doing is
I'm not thinking he
illegal.
can't do it. I don't know
No,
that.
by now,
I think at this point,
mm-hmm.
I think at this point, he's showing us exactly what the president can do in ways that like we always
We
thought,
never
well,
knew.
that can't. Yeah, we can't. That can't
But you know
happen.
what?
That
I
won't
knew
happen.
this.
No,
But
he's showing us like, no, the president can do all these things.
I had civics when I was in school. We understood the Constitution, and the problem is they've taken civics out of the schools. So all of the stuff that I used to argue with my uncles when I was a kid, I used to argue with my uncles. I was like, you know what? We could do this. We could do that. He was like, no, you can't do that. You can't. And I was like, no, you could do it. You could do it under the law. But they tried to argue me down, and they were like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, no, yes, I absolutely could. All I would have to do is do this with the law, and there'd be nothing you could do about it. Trump is the person who the sci-fi movies warned us about. And we just ignored it because we didn't have
1985.
So everybody,
Right.
like for instance,
But
And there's a group. There's a group of people that really like that too. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they might not even necessarily like him per se. They really like the idea of like, oh no, you can do these things, and he is doing them. Like it's just weird. But
And Edward, thank you. I think it's you brought up a couple good points, even around the civics and taking civics out of school. But to your point, this is red meat to the base. This is an opportunity to look over here when there's so many things over there that we should be paying attention to.
thank you for calling in.
And I'm
We
in
gotta
1984.
we gotta take a quick break. You listen to Urban View Morning. It's going to keep this conversation going on about the flag burning and the executive order. So feel free to call in 866-801-8255, 866-801-8255. We'll be right back after this.
You're listening to Urban View Mornings with Omi Bell
on Sirius XM.
Pulled up to Cadillac because we had to get one of the cars oil changed. Hey, what's up, man? Good morning. How you been? Yeah, what they sold this?
No, I think it's brand spanking new. I think it's like there's transport in it.
Oh, yeah, I want that shit bad, man. Look at it.
Yeah, look at that big one.
Fucking thing's gigantic. How's everything going? Yeah, my mom's in here getting the oil change. I gotta go in there and just check it out, see what they charging her. Yeah, how's everything going?
Yeah, so far so good.
Cool.
Yeah, I was surprised to see you here early. I thought you were
I'm here because my mom here.
nice.
She got one of these XT5s.
Right?
Like my aunt. You remember my aunt?
My mom, I remember.
All right, I'll see you later,
All
bro.
right, my man.
All right. Yeah, wow, that's a nice picture. And then they still got this silver V here. You know, this thing's fucking like $80,000 or $90,000. It's like it's going to be a little while before they sell that one. Okay, how you doing? Look over there.
I see
Go
it.
walk, because I gotta get my cup anyway.
Why'd you
So
leave
you
the
see
door
how
open?
big? No, because we're gonna look in the inside. You see how big that one is compared to mine?
Silver and white?
Because those are stickers for shipping.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh wow. I'm trying to figure out. I said, oh, that's something new.
Yeah, so that one's bigger than this. This is the Vistic. So this is 3 rows, but it's smaller than the Escalade is. It doesn't have as much nice stuff in it. It doesn't have like the TVs everywhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is nice.
Yeah, it's to replace the XT6.
And that's gonna be nicer. Well, is this the electric?
This is the electric one. This is the electric replacement of the XT6. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, I'm gonna get it in a second.
Is that somebody's car?
No, this is a loaner. It says it on the back.
Oh right. I saw it.
So I was trying to get this one, but somebody had already had it. I think they had a silver one too. Yeah. So let me just get my cup. I get some coffee from in there. Back, if they had it, you could watch TVs. Nah, that's a nice. It's nice. It's like flat.
You notice all of those other cars are coming in with
This is
car.
pastel, and mine is like silver.
Wow, look at this.
Yeah.
That is really nice.
Yeah. For 150,000, something like that.
Listen.
Yeah, let me get my cup. Yeah, so it's early here, and I had to get oil change and basically a multi-point inspection done on my mom's XT5. So this Lyric V is still sitting right here, and nobody's bought it yet, and I'm guessing it's because of whatever the price is, because these things are selling. It's just that the Lyric V is more expensive than the regular Lyric, and a lot of people aren't willing to pay the extra money for the speed. So the Lyric V has the heads-up display. And I'm looking at the way this heads-up display was designed. It looks like this is something that they added on. And what I've always said about the my Lyric is basically a super prototype. And they basically built it as the first car that they put out. And then what they started doing was they started taking features away from the Lyric, like the start-stop button, and then they started adding certain things in that were complained about. Like people were complaining that there was no heads-up display. So my car was a super prototype, and these cars are like the more production finished version, you know? And one of the things I gotta say that I always liked about SRT, Cadillac gives you the Brembo brakes, SRT gives you the real Brembo brakes, where the back of it is like, you know, full. Good morning. How you doing? Very good. But it's like when you go to like Range Rover doesn't give you like the full Brembo brake. You know, like if you look at Range Rovers, the front will say Brembo, but the back doesn't. And I'm like, you know, how do you even allow that to pass? So this is a full Brembo brake, just like on your Jeep SRT or just like on your Hellcat. I'm not sure what size these rotors are, but these are like basically the same size as like Hellcat rotors, if I'm not mistaken. And then you look inside, you got that leather seat, and it says V on it. It says it goes charging rate is 262. So yeah. So basically, you know, they made the interior a little bit nicer, but they really didn't change anything though. I believe that this car has the same sound system that the Optic has, because I'm pretty sure I don't have the extra AKG speakers like here and here. So they've probably went back to town and they had retuned it, because it sounds different in my car than it sounds in the Optic. The Optic is a lot more powerful at a lower volume. And I think that was a more up-to-date version of AKG. I think what happened was when they put out the original Lyrics, I think some people complained that they felt that it wasn't powerful enough. So what they did was they went back and they made it even more powerful. But other than that, it's basically the exact same car. It's just that this one has like the leather interior and mine is like Interlux, because you can't buy white leather. You can only buy like a artificial leather. And other downside, unlike Tesla, these cars don't have a rear monitor for like entertainment. So that means if you're sitting in these freaking cars and you're at a charging station, there's basically nothing to do unless you have the newer cars, and then you can watch videos on the front monitor. But my argument is, why didn't you make it so I could put what are those things, an entertainment monitor right here? That should have been, you should have made it so the car came with that. But then the other thing that's interesting is that they added this part right back here to the back of the seat, and that kind of makes it harder for you to mount a monitor, which I always thought was really annoying. But that's just how it is. That's just what it looks like. You know, I find it so interesting how far people went to make their old Jeeps look like SRT products. So right here, this guy has an add-on rear valence. He has add-on twin pipes, because as you remember, the SRT models had the pipes right dead center. So you couldn't actually tow easily with it, because normally your tail hook is dead center, and normally your exhaust pipes go to the left and the right. So then on top of that, this guy found the old Jeep SRT bumper, and he actually put the old Jeep SRT bumper on there, and he got bigger wheels for it to make it look more and more like a regular old Jeep SRT. So I just found that really, really interesting. Trying to get a look at the bumper right there, you know. But as you can hear, the thing is like, you know, it's got a buzzy engine. And he also painted the calipers red, but that's something common. A lot of people paint their calipers red because they want those Brimbos. But the problem is that Brembo braking kit is expensive. That's like $10,000 basically. Depending, well, I mean, you can get it cheaper, but you know, if you get it like brand new, rotors, you know, everything, it's kind of expensive, and to get it installed and everything. But just found that pretty interesting. Every now and then I see a WK1G. Look at this guy. This guy's got a Range Rover. This fucking guy stopped. You're gonna get hit, man. You can't be on the shoulder. But that's what happens when you have a Range Rover. Them things break down. Freaking Range Rovers. That's one car I will probably never even consider. Goddamn Range Rovers. Things breaking down, and people got those Evoque Range Rovers. Those things are shit. But you know what? Hey, listen, I ain't got to worry about it. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, I think about my Jeep. It's like, I gotta drive that thing, because you know what I do is I unplug the battery so this way it doesn't die like it used to. So I drive it around a little bit, and then I unplug it, and then I just leave it there. But owning two cars, man, it's like, to some extent, it's like it's a hassle, especially when you're here in New York State and they keep raising goddamn insurance. Yeah, this person has the old Cadillac SRX. I had heard that, you know, they were talking about now, like lately, they're talking about people paying 7-year car loans, right? Now, I don't necessarily feel there's anything wrong with that. I mean, if it's a good, decent car that you can have for a very long time, I don't see a problem with paying for a car. Like for example, the price of just about everything has gone up, and now with Trump's tariffs, they're going to go up a little bit more. So let's say that you wanted let's say a Honda Accord, or let's say you wanted a Toyota Camry. So normally, yes, the prices would be higher. So those cars are relatively low maintenance, and those cars are relatively easy to pay for as far as insurance goes, because there's nothing special about them, right? So let's say you did need to stretch out the car note to 7 years. Yeah, you're gonna pay more over time in insurance, but you also have to remember, you can mitigate that by making either extra payments, or if you get extra money, you can put larger lump sums down to pay directly to principal. There's usually no prepayment penalty anymore. They used to have prepayment penalties, but now the banks think it's so unlikely that you will prepay or pay it off early that they don't have prepayment penalties in most cases anymore. So my thinking is, it's like, if you needed to stretch out a payment on a car, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but it should be a decent car that you're going to keep for a long time. For example, a work truck. Like, if you had a work truck, that would actually make sense, because, like, you know, maybe you're using it for work and you know you're going to have this thing for a long time, but because of the price going up on these trucks, maybe you don't feel that you can make those payments initially, and you need some time to be able to grow your income using it as a work truck in order to grow your income. Now, I can totally understand that. So I wouldn't begrudge anybody for a 7-year payment. But you also have to remember, they had longer term payments than 7 years. When I bought my Jeep SRT had what was it? 8 years. It had 8 years, 96 month payment on it. Now, I paid it off early, but because of the fact that I had the Hellcat and the Jeep at the same time, it was like, yeah, that was really, really expensive. So the Hellcat was like 76 months, and the Jeep was 96 months, you know. So my thinking is, it's like, yeah, if you can afford the maintenance and you can afford the insurance, then yeah, I guess, it could work. But, they've had even longer terms than that. Like, they had 12 years, 144 months. I call it 12 years a slave. Now, 144-month payments, that's pretty goddamn extreme. But some people may need 144 months. Like, 12 years, like, that's the kind of loan that I would take out if a car was like $150,000 or something like that. And even then, per month, it would still be kind of expensive. It'd still be close to $1,000 a month. But the bottom line, and your insurance would definitely be high on that. But, certain vehicles, like tractors and shit, yeah, you might not be able to afford to buy that up front. And you might need to stretch out the payments. But, I would avoid it. But some people, maybe they can't avoid it. So they have no choice. So, it's just one of those things. I don't begrudge anybody. My only thing is, try not to end up getting repossessed, because at that point I'm going to be laughing at you. It's like, if you make it work from a business point of view, that's cool. But if you end up getting your shit repossessed and sold on the dealer's market just because you were being greedy, I mean, you deserve to be laughed at. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel about it. That's a nice truck. This a Duramax. Those diesel trucks, those things last forever if you treat them right. Those things literally last forever. Like, it'll be the apocalypse and that fucking that truck will still exist. Like, when it's Mad Max and everybody's riding around on dune buggies and stuff. Wild. Well, I've said it before numerous times, so I'm going to make this brief. Nvidia is the train that's pulling this entire tech market along. Nvidia is pulling along Microsoft and all of the other stocks that I've got, like that I told you about when I made my index Mangoat. So you got Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Google, oil and gas stocks, and then you've got Amazon, AMD, and then there's Tesla, of course. But of course, you have to add in TSM, Supercomputer Micro, Intel. And Intel's going through some problems right now. I understand that. But you also have to understand, the U.S. government is not quitting on Intel. The U.S. government is actually going to be subsidizing Intel to some extent. I'll talk more about that another time. But people who are in Congress are betting on Intel. And the mere fact that they're betting on Intel means that you should be, even though it looks bleak for them right now. But just don't count them out, because if the U.S. government is subsidizing something, for example, the U.S. government is subsidizing Micron, and you have to remember the reason why they're doing that. Micron and Nvidia and TSM and AMD, all of them are responsible for making computer chips. During COVID, and when we were coming out of COVID and they had a chip shortage, the U.S. government basically decided that they were going to put money into Micron, and it looks like they're doing the same thing with Intel, because what they wanted to do was make sure that, as far as they claim China's planning to try to invade and take over Taiwan, they want to make sure that, let's say China did somehow take over Taiwan, they want to make sure that China doesn't end up owning 90% of the chip market, because that's basically what Taiwan produces. So what Nvidia is doing is Nvidia is working with President Trump and claiming that they're going to pay into the government, they're going to pay a percentage of their money. And Trump is also talking the same thing to Intel, and they're saying, that they'll pay the U.S. government money. But the U.S. government basically wants Intel and Micron to be there in order to produce chips just in case something goes wrong over there in Asia and China takes over Taiwan, which I really do not believe is going to happen. So anyway, the name of this story is the S&P 500 inches higher as traders brace for Nvidia earnings live updates. I'll make this very quick because you can read this yourself. So the S&P ticked higher on Wednesday as investors turned their eyes to Nvidia earnings, which could be a make-or-break moment for the bull market. The broad market S&P 500 rose 0.2% Nvidia, which accounts for roughly 8% of the S&P 500. So Nvidia is 8% of the S&P 500. In my portfolio, personally, Nvidia is like more than 30% of my portfolio's value, because, you know, I never imagined that Nvidia was going to go up the way that it did. Like, I knew Nvidia was always going to be big, and that's the reason why I was telling you about buying Nvidia a long time ago. But I never imagined it was going to be where it is now. So the bottom line is, it's kind of like the New York State Lotto. You got to be in it to win it. But and I could say the same thing about Microsoft. I could say I had no idea Microsoft would be jumping as high as it did either. But what I did know was that all of these tech companies are doing their best to lock you into subscriptions. Because if they can't get your money through investment, at least they can make sure that they hold on to you as a customer in the future. And that's one of the things Microsoft, especially through Microsoft Xbox and Microsoft Office, everybody pretty much runs Windows Office of some type. That's what they're doing. They're making sure that they keep a hold of you with these subscriptions. And that's how they got you. Every year I got to pay for my Microsoft Office subscription. Every year I got to pay for Xbox Live. Now, I could cut them off, but I keep them because, first of all, I use my Xbox credit card to pay for them, which gives me some form of credit utilization on that card to keep that account open. But on top of that, I've been an Xbox Live member for over 10 years. And, who knows? I might end up buying the Ally Xbox handheld and I might keep using it. I don't know. These consoles suck, but the portable consoles are not so bad. So I don't know what the future holds. But for right now, I have no intention of canceling either subscription. So it's $100 a year. I think combined it's like maybe $150 for both of them. But, it's not that bad. I mean, $150, my YouTube payments pay for that. Like, it's not a big deal. So they're saying the S&P 500 and NASDAQ were kept in check as long-term Treasury yields continued to rise amid concerns around President Donald Trump's attempts to influence the Federal Reserve towards lower interest rates. So the question that you're going to ask is why? What's going on with interest rates? That's the problem. That's the question you're going to ask. Now, I like to try to make things as simple as possible. The problem with interest rates right now is the Federal Reserve cannot lower interest rates because if they do, inflation will rise. We may have a reverse mortgage crash, but they can't raise interest rates either. And that's what they should be doing. But they can't raise interest rates because then the national debt becomes unpayable. We have $37 trillion in national debt. So right now, all this talk about lowering interest rates is because what Trump wants to do is force the Federal Reserve to lower these interest rates in order for the government to refinance the national debt. It's like refinancing your own personal debt. If you have a house and you have a 5% on your 30-year fixed mortgage, being able to refinance to a lower interest rate, say let's go from a 5% down to a 3%. You may even have an opportunity to change the term. You can go from a 30-year fix to a 20-year fix like I did. Bottom line is, Trump wants them to lower the interest rate so he can refinance the debt. And lowering the interest rates would also juice his economy. And that's all he's really concerned about. He wants to juice his economy. Because if you lower the interest rates, it's a well-known fact that risk assets go up. Lowering the interest rates allows people to spend more money in cryptocurrency. It allows them to spend more money in speculative assets like gold and silver, commodities. It allows them to spend more money buying ETFs, just like I'm doing with the stocks. It allows you to spend more money investing. And lowering interest rates, some would argue, actually causes inflation to move towards the stock market. Because you'll hear people say, oh, the stock market's inflated. And they say, oh, the stock market's not worth what it says it's worth. It's inflated. Yeah, well, by keeping interest rates low, we pumped a lot of money into the stock market, trillions of dollars. Think about it. During COVID, interest rates were at their lowest. It was 0% interest rates right before you had that Ukraine versus Russia situation. And at 0% interest rates, you had a lot of people investing a lot of money in cryptocurrency, a lot of money into the stock market, a lot of money into speculative assets. The problem comes when you have the recession. Yeah, you have a very big bubble that grows and grows and grows, but when that bubble pops, or when you have a recession or a stagflationary environment where you have high inflation and you have high underemployment as well as the possibility of high unemployment. We don't have high unemployment, but we do have an underemployment problem. If you have to work more than one job to survive, that's underemployment. Because that's basically saying, yeah, I have to work more than one job to feed myself or to feed my family and to afford to live in a house or apartment or whatever. That's underemployment. We have a huge problem with underemployment that they don't talk about. They talk about employment and unemployment, but what they do not talk about is underemployment. And that's how the government is able to lie right to your face. And you know something's wrong, but there's no way you can prove it because the stats say one thing, but your eyes say another. So what are you going to do? All you can do is just do your best to survive. That's pretty much it. There's another story here. It says it's time to unmask the Trump tariffs for what they really are. A giant national sales tax that will hobble U.S. economic growth. So pretty much any economist you talk to is going to tell you the exact same thing. Pretty much any one of them. They're all going to say that tariffs are a tax because by very definition, tariffs are a tax. But tariffs are usually a tax that are imposed on imported goods. Goods that come into America, those are tariffed. Congress is supposed to be the one that imposes tariffs. It is possible for Congress to delegate the imposing of tariffs to the executive branch. But as far as I know, Congress never officially claimed that they did give the ability to impose tariffs on Trump. And if Congress had a spine or if Congress really wanted to, they could easily overturn the tariffs that Trump is imposing. And when you really think about it, tariffs in a lot of cases are really stupid. Like, for example, if I go to Dubai right now, and I buy gold, and I buy gold jewelry. Like, let's say I go to Dubai, and I go there, and I buy a Rolex. I could buy that Rolex, or I can buy that gold jewelry. I could come back here looking like Mr. T, and I could have enough gold jewelry on to suck myself into an MRI machine. But or a CAT scan machine. Bottom line is, the tariff that is imposed on imported jewelry wouldn't be enforceable because I'm not going to declare my jewelry. I could buy a Rolex for $25,000 and I could wear that right through airport security, and I'm not going to tell them that I bought a Rolex for $25,000. I'm not going to tell them. And if I paid for it in cash over in Dubai, or let's say I even paid for it with cryptocurrency, who's going to know? It's very difficult to enforce these tariffs. Furthermore, what we're also seeing is a lot of countries are lying about where they're getting their materials from. So materials might come from China or India, and they're lying about it. Or you see India underhandedly buying Russian oil, even though we have sanctions on Russia, and not imposing our sanctions on Russia. So there's 100 examples of how this happens. But the bottom line is, at the end of the day, the people who are the consumers pay the tariff. So Trump, you remember how he said, yeah, Mexico's going to pay for the wall he's going to build. I'm going to build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it. That shit never happened because that's not what was going to happen. The government of Mexico was like, we're not paying that shit. And the bottom line is our tax dollars pay for it. In this case, you're dealing with these tariffs. And who was it? Amazon, Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos, even though Jeff Bezos is a simp, and Jeff Bezos was willing to waste $50 million on used cat. The bottom line is Jeff Bezos, for a few seconds, he grew a brain and a spine, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to put a sticker on the products that tells exactly how much we charge and then exactly how much Trump tariffs are costing you. So immediately the Trump administration attacked Jeff Bezos, and like the simp he is, he backed right off. Every single company that imports products should be putting a sticker on their product to say this is how much the Trump tariffs cost you. But the Trump administration was going after these company CEOs and saying, yeah, you better not do that because God forbid people found out the truth. God forbid. So now you got Fortune magazine. You can read this yourself. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I just go a little bit into it. You could go to Fortune. You can read it yourself. You can do your own interpretation. So anyway, it says, buckle up, Americans. You've just been ambushed by a federal money grab that this nation hasn't witnessed in recent history. The equivalent of a national sales tax branded under another name. This version's a giant revenue raiser that deficit-ridden Washington is likely to get hooked on. In fact, it's looking more and more like America's answer to Europe's fatal attraction that's long been the leading enabler for the region's extremely high levels of government spending. The value-added tax, the VAT. As I'm sure you've guessed by now, we're talking about the Trump tariffs. And you can forget about foreigners picking up the tab for the tariffs. It's Americans who will. According to a wide range of forecasts, this new national sales tax levy will yank back from consumers' wallets about half the projected tax savings from the one big beautiful bill's extension of the 2017 Trump tax cuts. Unmasking the Trump tariffs as a national sales tax helps clarify the burden looming for American finances going forward. It's time to dispel the widespread confusion and misinformation that surrounds the tariffs' role and detail their true impact across the economy. Tariffs are a national sales tax by another name. Now, this thing goes into talking about the entire background. It goes into talking about all the economics. You read it yourself at Fortune magazine. You can read the whole thing yourself. If you're an economist, you can have your own opinion. I don't have a problem with that. Bottom line is, the consumer pays the tax. It's never the other way around. And the reason why is the corporations refuse to swallow. They refuse to swallow tariffs. They're not going to swallow that. They're going to make you pay it. But there are a couple of ways they can try to get around it. For example, they can use shrinkflation. They can give you less of the product and you still pay the same amount of money, but you're getting less product. We've already seen shrinkflation when we buy certain products like toilet paper, like Bounty, like Quicker Picker Upper, what is that stuff? We've seen forms of shrinkflation. One of the ones that I noticed was Arizona. Arizona soda, well, not really soda, but it's tea. What they did was they cut back on the amount of sugar that they use, and I actually noticed that the calories in Arizona went down. So you're paying for the bottle, it's $1, but at one point the dollar went up to $1.25. So what they did was they cut back on the ingredients, and they give you more water. But you think you're buying the same thing, but some part of your brain probably say, you know what, this doesn't taste as good as it used to taste. That's an example of shrinkflation. It's like where you give the person the same product, but you make them pay more for less, or you make them pay the same amount of money that they were paying before for less. The government, the corporations, they're not going to swallow that. You are. The taxpayer is going to get screwed by that no matter how you slice it. So they can argue all they want about who pays what, but the bottom line is the corporations refuse to lose a dime in profit, and they are going to make you pay for it. So, long story short, like I like to talk about the market, so let's talk about the market real quick. The Dow Jones is at 45,000 finally. So the Dow Jones has basically hit record high, and right now it's at 45,546. My portfolio, because my index, Mangoat, is pretty much all Magnificent 7 stocks before we started calling them the Magnificent 7. Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, and so forth and so on. Nvidia takes up the majority of my portfolio. But the beautiful thing is, like, I'm hitting levels that I never imagined that I would hit, mostly because of Nvidia and Microsoft. Amazon and Google are also performing very well for me. But it's really Nvidia that's pulling the train because I have a lot of shares of Nvidia. And I'm going to let them keep pulling the train. Now, there's a lot of people keep asking, is it too late to buy into these stocks? Is it too late to buy Nvidia? Is it too late to buy these things? Well, I would argue it's not too late. The only issue is you're not going to make the same games that I did. And the reason why is because I bought these stocks pre-split. I bought Apple back in 2015 before the stock split they announced. I bought Tesla before both of their stock splits. I bought Tesla in 2012. So, when I bought it was $30 a share. Now it's, had two stock splits and it's over $300, even though I personally believe Elon Musk is an asshole. And the problem is he's driving down the cost every time he opens his mouth or says something racist or stupid. So my thing is, if he would just shut the hell up, we could probably hit $1,000 post split. And I'd be sitting back drinking champagne and burning $100 bills if that was the case. But I'm not doing that because I'm waiting for my retirement. I retire pretty soon, and I'm gonna be on a beach in the Philippines or Thailand or Bali or whatever it is. You see the videos I've been making, and I'm gonna have some young wife from one of them countries. She's gonna be barefoot and her feet gonna be dirty as the dirtiest feet you ever seen, and she's gonna be fanning me with the leaf from the tree, the big coconut leaf, and feed me buko juice. And I have no aspirations beyond that. A lot of people, they retire, they got to go back to work. Fuck that. I'm going to let y'all work in McDonald's and let y'all work at White Castle. I'm going to be on the beach in Philippines or Thailand or Bali or whatever it is. You probably heard my phone just ringing and it cut my video right off. So I had a client call me, but I told them that, I talked to them and everything. But I got right back to making the video. So anyway, I don't know if you heard that or not, but the video cut because of that. So anyway, long story short, again, people ask all the time, oh, is it too late to buy? Now, there are some stocks that I really think it's not too late to buy, but you absolutely will not see the gains I've made. One of them I could mention. Well, first of all, any of these that I've already mentioned, Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Google, Amazon, I honestly, at this point, I cannot recommend Tesla anymore. You got to understand, I got into Tesla back in 2012. You know how some people have a bumper sticker that says, I bought this Tesla before I knew Elon Musk was crazy? Yeah, well, I bought Tesla stock before I knew Elon Musk was crazy. I personally hold it, but I can't recommend it at this point in time. I just can't do it. Now, if Tesla gets a new CEO and they get a new face on Tesla, which I don't think... See, first of all, you got to understand, it'll happen sooner or later. Elon Musk is a mortal man. He will die eventually. Whether or not he goes from one company to another or retires, eventually he will die. And somebody else will come into Tesla, somebody with a new face, fresh ideas, and who knows to keep their fucking mouth shut and not say things about women or not say things about minorities and not say things about what's going on in South Africa or some shit like that that's got nothing to do with buying an electric car, okay? So the bottom line is, he's a mortal man. He'll be dead soon. I can promise you that. Warren Buffett is a mortal man. And I appreciate Warren Buffett, but of course, Warren Buffett is going to meet his maker soon. And soon there will be a new CEO. And that CEO will probably, in my belief, that CEO will say, you know what? Warren Buffett believed that we should not pay a dividend from Berkshire Hathaway. Warren Buffett believed that we should take the money and reinvest it ourselves and help build the company. You'll probably get a new CEO that says, you know what? We should pay a dividend. So guess what? Now I'll be collecting a dividend from my Berkshire Hathaway holdings that I wasn't collecting under Warren Buffett. The important thing to remember is none of these people last forever. Buying your stock now and holding it will pretty much ensure, especially for the most important companies that make important products, it will ensure that you have a seat at the table. I should say it like that. You have a seat at the table. But these people aren't going to last forever. The strategies at these companies will change eventually. They're not going to last forever. So that's just how I see it. AMD, TSM, I personally believe right now that because of the pressure that the Trump administration is putting on these companies making these chips and everything, I personally believe that, yeah, it's still a decent time to buy in. You could save your money and you could wait till the next market crash, and I guarantee you that's coming eventually. But if you buy and hold, it really doesn't matter if the market crashes or not, because when it comes back, these companies are going to bounce back and they're going to be more powerful and bigger than ever. But that's up to you. It really depends on you. There are other smaller companies like Roku and Goodyear Tire and General Motors. General Motors right now, the stock's $58. General Motors doing pretty good. You know, General Motors is just like GE. General Motors is part of America's military-industrial complex. They're not going anywhere. That's a national staple. GE is a national staple. Goodyear Tires is a national staple. They're not going anywhere. That they actively produce products for America's military-industrial complex. They're not going anywhere. So there's a lot of stocks that, yeah, you could buy in, and you could just hold them. Who else? Bitcoin right now is at $112. XRP is $3.15. It hasn't really moved like I expected it to. Ethereum is $4,641. So guess what? And I should mention this. People who I know who bought Ethereum at like $4,500 and then noticed that Ethereum crashed like well below 3,000, who I was making fun of. Well, if they held and didn't panic sell, then now they're above $4,500. So we could give them a little bit of a congratulations. We give them a clap. Okay, but that's assuming that they didn't sell. And that's the problem that I've always had with cryptocurrency, because there's a lot of people who like to criticize me. Oh, yeah, well, you talk bad on crypto and blah, blah, blah. But guess what? In all of that time, I've been accumulating dividends, and you haven't. In all of that time, I could have sold any of my stocks without fear of missing out, and you couldn't. Your money sat there waiting to make somebody else rich when they hit the sell button. So, you can feel about it however you want. I don't really care. You can invest in anything. You can go invest in peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for all I care. And, maybe you'll get rich. Maybe there'll suddenly be a run on peanut butter and jelly. Maybe the schools will be like, you know what, we need peanut butter and jelly, and there's a run on peanut butter and jelly. I don't care. That's fantastic. What I'm saying is, where I put my money, I expect my money to show a return all the time. And the second that it does not show a return, now I got a problem. I can honestly sit here, I can look at my numbers, and I'm doing better than ever. These companies that I invested in, they went from multi-billion-dollar companies to trillion-dollar companies. And they're paying us just to hold their stock while they're getting filthy rich. So me personally, it's like, do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. My whole point, my philosophy, I'm a little like Warren Buffett. My philosophy on this is you buy things that show a return. You don't buy things that you don't fully understand, and you don't buy into companies that don't make products that people aren't capable of buying. If there's no physical product, I'm not interested. I can go to Apple. Apple's got iPhones. Apple's got iPads. Apple's got EarPods. Apple's got this. They got that. They got all types of stuff. They got stores. I can go to Microsoft. Microsoft got Xbox. Microsoft's got this. They got that. They got Minecraft. They have a product people want. I can go to Goodyear Tire. I can go to GE. Buy freaking all the light bulbs in my house say GE on them. I think you get my point. Hopefully you get my point. I don't know. So besides Meta, which I didn't mention, which is still under $1,000, if you buy one share of Meta at $1,000, or let's say you have more money, let's say you buy 2 shares of Meta, you can guarantee, and I'll say this right now, and you can come back and quote me on it, within the next 3 or 4 years, definitely within the next 3 years, Meta is going to hit $1,000, and it's going to pass that. And then they're going to be talking about a stock split. So if you buy one share of Meta, and I hate to say this because I hate Zuckerberg, and even right now my account's in Facebook jail because I get in trouble a lot for bullshit on Facebook. But I have a Facebook ban right now from groups, and I'll be back, I think, September 13th or something. The rest of my Facebook account works, but groups doesn't. So anyway, that piece of shit, I hate to say this, but if you were to buy Meta, eventually there'll be a stock split and you'll get a bunch of shares while you're collecting dividends from Meta. That's the only reason why I'd ever recommend Meta, because it does pay a dividend and because I know that sooner or later they're going to do a stock split. I have siblings in my family who bought Facebook when it was still called Facebook, but it was like under like $60 or something. And they've held it. They didn't sell it. They held it just like I suggested. The other one is Goldman Sachs. Now, these banks, I've been saying it a long time. You should buy banks and oil. I don't care how low it appears their stock is going, but the bottom line is banks and oil have been solid along with credit cards for me. I bought Wells Fargo. Like, oh, don't buy Wells Fargo. They're crooks. They made false account, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? Both of my houses have mortgages held by Wells Fargo. So guess what? I'm in it whether I like it or not. But I bought Wells Fargo stock under $50, and guess where it is right now? It's at $82 right now. If I decide to sell right now, I'm selling at $30 a gain, 32 plus or whatever it is per share. Citigroup, nobody even talks about Citigroup anymore. I'm the only one you hear talking about banks and oil. You don't hear nobody else saying that shit. Jim Cramer don't say that. Jim Cramer, I don't know how that guy still has a job. Kathy Wood is one of the worst investors I've ever seen, and the proof is in the pudding. ARK Investment Funding, her little baby, yeah, well, guess what? It has negative returns. She can literally take you from being a billionaire to being a millionaire. Ain't that something? Now, I play it safe. I don't bet on high-risk shit like she does. I would say the one thing, no, in fact, if you know how you go to a job interview and they're like, yeah, what are the biggest mistakes you ever made? I would say betting on Chinese stocks during the pandemic was probably my biggest mistake. And the reason why is because I had no fucking idea that you'd have Trump and Nancy Pelosi and Biden come in and automatically like start attacking Chinese companies. Right now, and I should have mentioned that, right now, the fastest electric vehicle made right now that just beat the Rimac Nevera is a Chinese-made electric vehicle called the U9. And this thing basically does 300 miles an hour. And they're going to keep going because they're going to beat the Bugatti speed record for a production car. And you probably saw a couple of video, like they posted a video. I can't post it because I get a copyright flag. But you can go and see it. The Yang Wang U9 is faster than the Bugatti Chiron, with the exception of the Super Sport. But they're going to beat that record very soon because it has like 3,000 horsepower. I bet on Chinese stocks. I bet on Chinese electric vehicles. And then all of a sudden, you've got these corrupt individuals in my country decide that they're going to start a Cold War with China. And they say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to have the Holding Foreign Countries and Companies Accountable Act. And then we're going to have Trump putting tariffs on China. I had no idea that was going to happen. So, yeah, I'll take accountability for that. But guess what? I'm holding those stocks. Trump is not going to be there forever. When he's long gone, that's when we're probably going to go back to basics and we're going to go back to business. Because with the exception of him, America really didn't have any problem buying Chinese products. In fact, if you look through your house right now, the majority of the shit in your house, I guarantee, is made in China. Guarantee it. And now, you know, it's funny because I have an uncle, he's addicted to buying shit online. He's addicted. And the reason why is because just like these women who go on Home Shopping Network, you know, who they'd be sitting home, these housewives, he's kind of like that because he's retired. So he's sitting at home all the time buying shit off of fucking Temu and Alibaba Express. And I'm like, You shop there? And he buys all types of stuff off of it. And now he's starting to complain because of the Trump tariffs. So, I don't say nothing because I don't feel like starting an argument every single time I open my mouth. But I was like, yeah, that's what it is. Because you remember how Trump said, oh, well, you don't need $25. You only need one. Well, that's the mentality. The mentality is it's like, hey, maybe you shouldn't be spending all this money and sending it overseas. Maybe you should save some money. But when you're sitting at home, you got nothing else to do. That's what you do. You start shopping and shit. So that's just how it is. But I would say that's like one of my bigger mistakes. Now, somebody might chime in and, why you should have bought Bitcoin when it was $1. Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody wished they bought Bitcoin at $1, but I won't count that as a mistake. And the reason why is because early on, it was very difficult to even buy in. Some of the people bought in, lost their codes, lost their hard drives, lost their computers, and they lost their Bitcoin. There was the story of that guy who he threw away a hard drive and he had to try to search a landfill because if he found that hard drive, it was worth like $700 billion. Well, yeah, obviously that never came to work. He's never going to find it. And that landfill may have already destroyed it, but he's never even going to know about it. And there's nothing he can do about it. And he's trying to dig in a landfill. And then the judge at the court said, no, you can't do that. And it's a damn shame, but that's it. So imagine this $700 billion or something like that. And you can't get to it because you don't know where it is. Like you misplaced money in your house. Like imagine that. And that happens a lot with regular people. Some people have literally put money inside the walls in their house and pushed money away. Some people have hidden money in their mattress. Some people have hidden money in their television sets. But when those people die, the new people come in, most of the times they don't even realize that money was there, and it just stays there, hidden and forgotten. And sometimes they do find it. Like sometimes they'll find a safe in the house that nobody knew about. Sometimes they find inside the walls, like they get a renovation done, and they're like, hey, look at this. There's a safe behind the wall, and they find it. But my point is, it's like, you wish you knew about it. You wish you knew about the hidden treasures, but you ain't getting it. You're not getting to it because you just don't know. Not unless you get lucky. You get that windfall. At this point, most people, their main hope is that when their parents go, their parents don't have a lot of debt and their parents leave them some decent money. Some of these married people, like I've personally seen this recently. I know a coworker, her husband died and left her a decent amount of money in a pension, Social Security, this, that, and the other. And she's spending like a drunken sailor. And it's so sad looking at married couple. All of the stuff that your husband is telling you, oh, we don't need that, we're going to save money, and you're living a lower quality of life because you're trying to save money and not buy. And then this dude dies, and then you go out and start buying all of the stuff that he didn't let you buy. Like I just felt like that is a shame. Like that, like if he's like, oh yeah, well we don't really need a dishwasher, and then he dies, then you got this money coming, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm buying the best dishwasher I can get. You buy like $1,000 Samsung dishwasher. Like it's just, that's crazy. Or, oh, we don't need a washer and dryer. We got a laundromat right down the block. But as soon as he dies, yeah, I'm getting a washer and a laundry. Like I just think that's amazing. And your kids are looking at you the same way. Your kids are like, what, as soon as this parent dies, I inherit their house. They're looking, people at this point are like walking lottery tickets. It's like I've got relatives. I've got relatives above me. I don't want them to die, but I know they're going to because that's just the way of things. But when they die, it's like, yeah, I have substantial gains. And, one of my relatives died and left me out of their death a decent amount of money. And when I say decent amount of money, it was like, what was it? 5 figures. Did I take that money and go out and start buying gold jewelry and Jordans and Gucci and Prada and Femi and all that shit? No, I did not. I took that money and invested it. And I am honest to God able to say, you know what? That investment was brilliant. It was just absolutely brilliant. And now I could sit back and look at my portfolios on my computer. And I could say, man, I was so smart to do that. I can think back to 2018 when that Jeep Trackhawk came out. $100,000 truck, and they want $30,000 over sticker just because they've got it and you don't. And I was like, you know what? I brought this checkbook here because I was serious, but I could see you're not. So I left. I was like, fuck that. I'm not buying this. What did I do? I took that money and I said, you know what? I'm going to buy a house instead. I'm going to buy another house. And now, had no idea, but the market shot up. And now I'm sitting in this house. I got my ceiling fan behind me. I love my ceiling fan. Got my air conditioners. Got my washer, my dryer, my dishwasher, my refrigerators and all this. I can honestly say, thank God I did not waste that money. Even now, I don't see anybody who even still has those cars. Like my Jeep SRT is still sitting outside, paid off. And you barely see those things anymore. There was a dude down the block who had a Jeep SRT in a different color. He had a black one. And now, you know what he's got right now? He doesn't have that car anymore. He doesn't have the Jeep SRT anymore. You know what he's got right now? He's got a Tesla Model 3. Ain't that something? So you went from a Jeep SRT to a Tesla Model 3. Investments are what you make of them. You have to treat every single dime like it's an investment. Every single dime you spend is an investment. You're like, how's that possible? If you spend $20 getting food from someplace, you're investing into your personal health. If you spend money on cosmetics, you're investing into your looks and how you're perceived at work. If you invest money on your clothes, you're buying clothes to make yourself look like, for instance, if you buy an inexpensive suit for like $200, just a regular suit jacket, you're investing into how people interact with you. You're investing into your... Because at your job, maybe they might say, you know, we need somebody to go and represent us somewhere. You know what? Bob is not available. Let me pick Mike instead. Because Mike comes to work dressed like he's a CEO. So because you know what's funny? If you go to certain jobs and you're getting out of the car and you got like a suit and tie on, they think you run the place. You know, you might not run the place, but everybody thinks you do because you have the look. You're investing into your personal appearance. You're investing into your, your worth at the business. You know, every dime you spend is a freaking investment. So when it comes to investing, I take this shit very seriously. I take it very seriously. But I guess that's all I pretty much had to say, because I did say I was going to make this short. I don't know how long I've been, but I did say I was going to make this short, so I'm going to try to stick to that. But that's what it is for now. So we're waiting to see what Nvidia's earnings are. I'm waiting to see how much higher my portfolio goes. In fact, let me just take a quick look right now. Let me see where it is. Let me see. Let's just logging in. Let's see. Oh, yes. What is Nvidia right now? Nvidia is right now at $181.72. And that's acceptable for now. But as soon as the earnings come in, that's going to drive more investment in, and it'll probably go back. Because I think the high was... Where's the high? I could go and look right here. The high was $184.48. So I think we should be back over 185 within the next week. But yeah, that's all I got to say for right now. So, questions, comments, criticisms, you put those, down below.
To be continued.